Hi there, I'm John from CNCKing.com, and today we'll do 2 small pine stamps. Ever since starting my business almost 10 years ago now, I wanted to get into the stamp business because it's a pretty straightforward business. Basically, I already have the machine from the manufacturer that makes the most stamps in the world, Trodat. Trotec laser is a division of Trodat. And I get all my rubbers, all my supplies, everything from Trodat. So to go into the stamping business makes total sense. Now there are some applications where the customer doesn't need a self-inking stamp, and they don't really need a strong manual stamp. They just want a custom stamp, and that's what I did in this case here. So you have the Trodat rubber here. You can see the stamp, and this is 3/4 inch thick, and this is pine. Same thing with this one here. Now the reason why I like pine for this kind of application here is that it's really easy to grab, especially with the laser. You'll notice on the edge, the grain is on there as well. And it gives you lots of feedback, and also gives you a lot of grip when you're actually stamping. Now of course with a manual stamp like this, the one thing you got to watch out for is you need to make sure it fits on an ink pad. We've done some massive stamps and the customer had to do a custom ink pad system, so on and so forth. And for this, something like this here, basically any ink pad totally works. It's a nice small size. This is roughly 1.5 inches tall and 1 inch across, and this is 1.5 inches diameter or 3/4 inch radii. So something that isn't really obvious when you first look at rubber stamps being made is that the result that we get is very much dependent on the density of the material that we're working with. Lasers don't have a two-way feedback system, so because of that, it doesn't really know how deep it's going. If you want to create more depth, you just go slower with more power. And that's generally how you go about making stamps or anything else in the shop here. Now, the reason why that's important is because if your rubber is not very consistent rubber, what ends up happening is that the stamp that you produce is inconsistent. You'll have some high points and low points. And that's really bad when you have ink, because what you want to do is have the ink completely consistent over the paper. And the only way to do that is to have very, very consistent rubber. And that's why we get all of our rubber from Trodat directly, because with that we have a very consistent product to then manufacture at our end for our customers to enjoy at their end. And that's the reason why we do for that. Now for the top of it, as you can see here, this is 3/4 inch pine that we laser engrave. And I found pine or MDF make a really good backing. What you want for a good manual stamp is a solid backing that's a little bit thick so it's easier to grab with your hand, but also something that's flat. And I found pine over the years is actually really flat for this specific application. And when it comes to rubber, of course, we got the consistency of it. So when the two mesh together, you have a really unique stamp that actually is really, really good. And it can be used for years and years and years. So you might be wondering, how do these two things hold together? Meaning you have the rubber here and you have the pine here, and you can't really use wood glue because wood glue doesn't work very well with rubber that I found in the past for long term. So what I do is I use industrial double-sided tape. So when you see the laser cutting this out here, it's not only engraving what's going to be on the stamp, it's not only cutting it out here, but it's also cutting the double-sided tape. So what that means then, I just by eye, manually, I just have to go over it, line it up properly, and just smash it once, and it pretty much stays on there. Now it's not a permanent adhesive, which means that later on down the road, maybe the customer wants to be elected again and wants to try something else design-wise. Not a problem, you can actually rip this off, put another one on, and you got basically a brand new stamp. So when it comes to making custom stamps, any size, any shape, any material, contact me at CNCKing.com. We'll make it for you and ship it right to your door.